There was a genuine climate, first of all, of give and take. And both leaders were very attentive to all the points that were made to them. President Obama took notes. Sometimes you wonder when somebody's taking notes, what exactly are they writing? But he referred to every point that he heard and summed it up very cogently. So obviously, when you have an attentive audience, that's half the battle. Because the issues you discuss are not necessarily new. Everyone knows what it takes what it will take to turn around an economy, what it will take to create alliances between two nations. There's no rocket science in that. The key is in the implementation, in the intent to execute whatever agreements you come up with. And in that respect, I think what was remarkable was that the demand came from the leaders themselves, that what they would appreciate is deadlines, is very clear targets being set for each of the goals that had been articulated. And they said, tell us so that we can hold ourselves accountable and hold our colleagues in our respective governments accountable. That was the most refreshing aspect to my mind of the discussions. Well, let's take your question. You said, is it just a marketing gimmick? Entire campaign gets downgraded by the word gimmick. If you say, is it just marketing? I'll say yes. And is marketing important? Supremely important after a period when India had vanished from the radar screen of the world. People had given up on India. They said India always flatters to deceive. We thought India was shining. We thought India was going places. And then suddenly for almost a decade it went dormant, lost its way. And what happened to all those aspirations of 8% growth, let alone double-digit growth? So people had said, look, there's no point focusing on India. India will never be able to execute, never deliver on its pronouncements. So marketing has to be done. In my opinion, we always undervalue in India marketing and communication. And I think it's to the Prime Minister's credit that he understands the value of both these things. Yes, of course, marketing has to be followed by delivery. And I would argue that I don't think anyone can level any criticism against this government for not focusing on delivery too. Delivery takes longer, but I believe he's working in parallel. I didn't specifically say India needs to re-examine it. What I articulated was that with such a new government in place, which had a friendly outlook to the US, which looked at it very positively as a natural partner, it was time that both sides explored anew how to strengthen their maritime links, because maritime security was going to be extremely important, as we know, not only for protecting against international enemies, if you will, but also against terrorism, because the security of the coastline is extremely important in India for preventing acts of terrorism. Naval systems is a focus for us, and we have been focusing on certain aspects of naval technology, which I won't go into for competitive reasons, but we have been focusing on that specifically as a great area of opportunity. And we have been exploring tie-ups for technology with a number of countries. But I must say that eventually India and Indian companies must adopt the Make in India slogan, if you will, and examine how we can become generators of technology ourselves. Ultimately, the Make in India campaign is not an empty slogan or a slogan that refers only to saving foreign exchange, or like the old motto of self-sufficiency or self-reliance. It is because when you build a very healthy relationship between defense, between the armed forces and industry, that is a major generator of new technologies and of innovation. And this is what is lacking in India. There are a number of areas which go right from the gamut of shipbuilding to the armaments on the ships themselves. There are electronic systems, there are radar systems, there's a whole variety of them. But the most exciting areas, as in any other industry, are really the electronic applications, the high-tech applications. Those are the ones that are becoming critical for all defense systems. So there has to be a focus even on electronics as they apply to maritime applications.
Do we see major thrust from the group in that area?
Yes, I think so. I think we are very small and fledgling in that right now, but that is our focus. We do have a venture with a US company where we are focusing on radar systems as well. So we will ensure that when we look at hardware, we will also have a simultaneous focus on software as well. We are really putting Ssangyong Motors, our Korean subsidiary, in the forefront when it comes to our ambitions in the US. I wouldn't rule out certain Mahindra products being possibly available in the US at some point in time if we see a relevance for them, but by and large we would like our thrust into the US to be via Ssangyong, and it's for a very simple reason. The Korean brand overall has in a sense been accepted now thanks to the efforts of Hyundai and Kia, who's worked for a long time despite skepticism about an Asian brand succeeding. But as you know, it took the same time for Japanese, then the Koreans have been accepted. So when you launch another Korean car in the US, you're already tapping into a receptivity of the consumer to that country image and brand. And therefore we think it would make sense for us to introduce the Mahindra Group's automotive business into America via Ssangyong.